The day our hometown burned, that was the day we enlisted. At last, we had something to believe in, something worth fighting for. None of us yet knew. We couldn't foresee what this war would cost us. It was a battlefield, but it was where we grew up.
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Let's Play Valkyria Chronicles 4. Your host, Dameol, SC. I am back home. I apologize. I think I said this before I left, but I'm not actually positive. I know I said it in one of the recordings, but I just went on a business trip for a week, and I recorded like hell the weekend before to try and make sure you guys had content. But unfortunately, that does mean that I like the last 4 episodes were pre-recorded and like all just uploaded in a bunch, so I couldn't really respond to what you guys were saying. Big thing that I'll say, just kind of respond to some of the things you guys have pointed out. Some people were defending Riley over the issue I had with the fact that she still is blaming Claude for what happened all that time ago. And I I agreed. Oh, that's interesting. If you go up and down, it actually goes. Because I remember when I got to here, I went over to that one. I pressed the side button. But if you just go up and down, it goes in the order they're supposed to go in. That's good to know. Anyway, I can't see if someone like prevented you from trying to save your family. You could have feelings of resentment for them. However, when I read the scene where it happened, I definitely get the impression that the soldiers had already gone in and killed the family. Like, that is absolutely the way I interpret the events that occurred. So, and the big reason I say that is because, like, the soldiers walked out, and then they set fire to the place, and, like, there were no screams ever heard. There was nothing. No one tried to make a run for it. And when Riley saw her sister, all she saw was her sister's hand. Like, it's, you know, again, there was no response from the sister, no cry for help, no anything. And admittedly, at the time, Riley didn't think that through, but I feel like by now she should have. So, but again, that is just my interpretation onto things. It's not firm. It's just very much the way I read the scenario. The other thing to say before we get too ensconced is some people have been like, why don't you just record for like an hour and a half? You know, why are you trying to be at 30-minute episodes? There's 2 reasons. One, here's what you have to kind of understand about this whole recording shtick. Rendering a video takes 3 times the length of the video. Uploading the video takes twice the length of the video. So, if I record 30 minutes, I am committing my computer for about 3 hours worth of work. If I record an hour and a half, I'm committing my computer for 9 hours of work. And you could be like, yeah, but your computer's just working, right? Yeah, kinda. But obviously, when my computer's processing power is all going to rendering the video, it means I can't use it for anything else. And when I'm uploading the video, I can't use the internet for anything significant. I can still watch Twitch, I can still watch YouTube videos, I can watch Netflix, I can play World of Warcraft. I can't play things like Street Fighter or League of Legends or like anything that requires a pretty good and is very response time based, because there is a lot of lag that uploading to YouTube generates. Some games and some things you can deal with the lag, some things you can't. So it is very much a compromise of my ability to do stuff. And you could be like, well, just do it while you sleep. We're talking about 9 hours, guys. I don't even sleep that long. Additionally, halfway through the 9 hours, I have to get up and do something. So that's kind of why I don't do that. But enough of me rambling. You didn't come here for a ramble, did you? You came here to go to the squad stories. Because I almost forgot the squad stories were even a thing. But I'm definitely watching this. A Prayer for the Broken with these guys.
I'll fetch a good price for this thing. And this doodad ain't half bad either.
Doodad. Bum 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 bum. Doodad. And you know what? Actually, this is cool, because I'm probably going to switch out who I use, because I want to see those squad stories. I probably won't see every single one of them. Question for you guys that played this game, actually. Is there additional stories beyond this one for this set? Like, do these 3 have another squad story together? If so, I may just use them and see their full story. But if each set only has one story, I'll definitely switch them out and try and get as many stories as I can.
Got me quite a haul today.
Are you robbing the, like, we're invading the Empire? Are you just, like, because I know this actually happened a lot with the, Allies, where they would invade Germany, and then they would just, like, steal all the art and stuff from the German, nobility.
Godwin?
Huh? Who are you?
That's Nico! Someone did point out, and it's totally true, that if Nico had red hair, we would think that it was Elliot from Trails of Cold Steel, who I also initially thought, which ironically, I should say also, I initially thought this Nico was a boy, but it's actually a girl, and I thought Elliot was a girl when it's actually a boy. So that hairstyle just confuses me.
I'm Nico. Nico Emery. We're in the same squad. More importantly, I saw you stealing from those soldiers.
I love how she's like, I'm going to be very timidly aggressive.
You can't keep looting bodies like this. It's a sin. You could go to hell.
Oh, wait, he's looting bodies? Who cares? I thought he was, like, legit stealing from them.
Huh. Must be pretty nice living in La La Land, where everything's rainbows and sunshine.
Rainbows, lollipops, and sunshine every place. That's where Nico likes to live.
Gotta get by somehow. Besides, they're dead. They don't need this crap. I do. You could turn a blind eye, can't you, Missy?
It's extra awkward trying to have a discussion about blind eyes from a guy that has a scar going over one of his eyes.
No, Godwin. I can't. What you're doing is disrespectful to the departed.
He's the one that killed them! How can you be okay with him murdering people? I get they're soldiers, but with him murdering people, but be like, you can't disrespect their corpses after you shoot them in the head!
Even if I turn a blind eye, God is always watching. Return what you took right now.
Gotta say, it's gonna be easy for me to not use Nico after this. And that's not because I hate religious people. I don't. I have a lot of respect for religious people. I don't have a lot of respect for people that push their religion on others. And maybe that's because I grew up in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is often called the buckle of the Bible Belt. And it's funny, there's a saying we have in Oklahoma that says, being religious is like being beautiful. The more you talk about it, the less you are.
The big man in the sky, huh? Ooh, I'm shaking my stolen boots.
I am liking Godwin a lot, though.
If God was real, I would have never been born.
Huh?
You just don't get it, Missy. There's haves and have-nots. One don't know jack shit about the other. Not everyone's as privileged as you. Some of us gotta scrape and claw our way through the dirt to survive.
What? Please, wait!
It'll kill my buzz, Missy.
Godwin.
I wonder where the other one was.
Bother with the likes of him, Nico.
So interesting. Does Godwin like Nico? Is that why this is happening? Like, I assume that's how you would know where the squad stories were.
He didn't give you any trouble, did he?
No, actually, Nico gave him trouble.
No. How much do you know about him, Rosetta?
Not much. But I know a broken man when I see one.
He looked lonely, but also angry, and yet so sad. Rosetta, I've got to help him.
You can do it!
I joined the army to make people's lives better. If I don't do something, who will?
Well, God, obviously.
No one, I'm afraid. I admire your compassion, but changing the world is easier said than done.
I think everything is easier said than done. There's not a whole lot that's easier to do than talk about.
Can I ask you something, Rosetta?
Oh, interesting. I thought you were going after Godwin.
I heard you were in the church before you joined the army. Do you think you could convince Godwin to repent and change his ways?
I'm honored you think so highly of my former vocation.
And this is always the problem, because I do believe that Nico honestly believes what she believes, and she thinks that Godwin is going to go to hell because he doesn't share her beliefs. But it does always, there's an old joke that said, there was a physicist that asked his students to define whether or not hell was endothermic or exothermic. And for those of you that don't know physical terms like that, endothermic. It's only a question of whether hell is a closed system and is growing hotter over time, or whether it's an open system and is losing heat as time goes by. And the response, the one that got the highest grade, said that there was a girl that said that hell would freeze over before she would go out with him, and being the fact that she still hasn't, he had to assume that hell was endothermic and was growing hotter over time. And it's just, I don't know why I brought that up. I have a bad habit. If something comes to mind, I'm going to talk about it. But it kind of reminds me of people will get that was actually the wrong story. The story I was supposed to tell, whoops, is that there was ultimately a question of how many people were in hell, and the answer is that there were multiple religions, and all of them said, or many of them said, if you weren't that specific religion, you were going to hell. And since they were competing, we have to assume that there's no reason to believe any of them are right. And so I guess that's why I get a little bit, it's like there's so many religions that all say you have to believe these specific things to get into hell. And then they also say that God is infinitely kind and compassionate. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, why would God give you a multiple choice with no context, and if you pick the wrong one, you suffer for eternity? Like, a lot of these people believe in a very different God than the one that I read about in their books. I should probably stop talking about this. I'm going to really offend someone. I apologize. I was raised Unitarian, and the big tenet of the Unitarian Church is that God just wants you to live a good life. Like, that's it. He doesn't really care about all of the minutia that a lot of other religions claim he does. Because if he did, he couldn't be a benevolent, he couldn't be all kind and benevolent towards humanity. He's not out to set up traps for you. And that's what the Unitarians believe. That's what I guess I believe. It's weird. I'm kind of agnostic, to be honest. But if there is a God, I have to assume it's a God that is not out to make a devil's bargain with you, because that would be a contradiction in terms. And I'm definitely moving on, because I've stepped around as many landmines as possible, but I need to stop stepping.
But a Darkson's troubles might be beyond my help.
What do you mean?
You know about the history of Europa, don't you? What the Darkson people have been through?
I do. I read about it in the first game. And by read about it, I mean saw firsthand.
They've suffered for centuries. No matter where they go, they're labeled as outsiders and treated with prejudice.
Yes, I know. But none of that is Godwin's fault. Or mine.
That, in and of itself, I realize this is like philosophy time with Dameol. But I think that's a lot of the real issue with a lot of the racial tension, even in our modern society. And I say our modern society meaning the American society, but if you're not American, I'm sure there's some racial tension where you are as well. But I can't make sweeping statements about a society I'm not part of. But I feel like, racial inequality is still very much a thing. However, if you're part of the disenfranchised race, you're very aware of it, and you're kind of pissed off about it, and you want it to get fixed, and understandably so. Everyone wants it to get fixed. However, it's something that is baked into the system. So, I'm a white male, which means I am the one that has never had to deal with any kind of prejudice getting in my way. And so I don't feel like this, but I know a lot of people, when you try and bring up all of the inequalities that are out there, and you talk about everything that's going on in the world, and you talk about how difficult it is for whatever race, whatever race the disenfranchised happens to be in that particular scenario, and the response that the white person will give, or the non-disenfranchised race, will just be like, well, that's not my fault, I didn't do that. And it's a knee-jerk reaction, because to a certain degree, everyone wants to feel like they got where they are in life off of their own skill. We don't like to acknowledge that a lot of what has happened for us is luck. One of my very good friends on Twitch is constantly talking about how hard she worked to get where she is, and she did work hard to get there. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but you did have a lot of... There were a lot of things going in your favor, and you just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I'm not saying that it didn't have anything to do with you. Of course it did. But a lot of people are just very, very, very reluctant to talk about the way things happen to go in their favor that they had nothing to do with. I think I brought it up in a previous episode, probably not this playthrough, but in my channel, if you look through all 2,000 videos, one of them I bring up, there's a poem/speech called Wear Sunscreen, really popular when I graduated high school. And one of the lines in it that I absolutely adore is, oh crap, don't take too much pride in your actions, or berate yourself either. Your decisions are half chance. So are everybody else's. So, and I think that's, I think, again, I kind of feel like I'm rambling, and I apologize, but I feel like that's sort of the basis of so much of the issues that we're having, is that people that are in good positions want to believe that they got there because they worked harder than everyone else, and everyone else is just lazy. You know, as soon as you start pointing out, it's like, well, yeah, but you didn't have any obstacles in your way because you were the race and the gender where there aren't obstacles in your way. They get super defensive. They're like, no, I worked overtime. And no one's discounting that. No one's saying you didn't work. But the frustration comes from the fact that there's still so many systemic inequalities in place that the people that don't run into them, they act like they don't exist. And again, stepping down from my soapbox. Wow. I am either going to get so many comments or lose so many followers over this. I'm not sure which.
You're right. But it doesn't change a thing.
It is really cool that Valkyria Chronicles can launch me into these speeches and touches so poignantly on so many of the issues, because it's absolutely based on World War II, and it's a little bit sad, but also interesting that so many of the issues in World War II are still freaking here today.
You see, I was inducted into the priesthood by a Darkson. He was my friend, a gentle and loving man. He was a Darkson rights activist, whose many supporters worked day and night to fight against bigotry and hatred. But in the end, his dreams never came true. He was shot and killed by extremists during a peaceful protest.
Anytime you have a situation where I'm going to go and make a sweeping statement here, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but it's like 99% true. In any argument, the first side to move to violence is the side that is wrong. The only kind of exception I will make is, I know the Antifa movement kind of has as their state standard that they will allow themselves to be the first ones to become violent because the other side is preaching genocide. And whenever your opponents are calling for a, extermination of a race, you can't wait for them to take action. Because they're first, as politicians like to say, you can't wait for the first action if the first action is a mushroom cloud. So, and that's the one argument I'm like, you know what, I can kind of see whenever your opponents are calling for violence, then responding with violence rather than waiting for them to build to a point where they start acting on what they're calling for. I can sort of see that. But obviously in this, if your response to someone saying, hey, this isn't right, we should fix it, is to shoot at them or threaten violence against them, then you are absolutely in the wrong. Absolutely. It's just like several years ago, back whenever the Gamergate fiasco was going on, and you'd have, these stories posted about, oh yeah, this happened, and the response would be to harass the people making the claims or, harass the people telling their stories, and it's like, no, even if what they're saying is false, and a lot of those were, at the very least, there were some very, very significant facts that were not communicated. But if your response to someone talking is hitting, then you are always in the wrong. And I think that's, oh my gosh, we're talking so deep about so many things in this episode. I think that's kind of the big breakdown of Gamergate. Because Gamergate, it started as a discussion of ethics and journalism, but it very quickly became not about that, because obviously the side of it that wanted to incite violence against the people participating was the one you had to address, and the actual dialogue didn't have a chance to happen.
That's horrible.
That's life.
Well, it's death, actually.
He's a refugee, you know. The war tore him from his home and family. Everywhere he went, he was met with cold hearts and closed doors. The only person he could rely on was himself.
Yeah, he definitely kind of learned that it's very true in a war-torn environment. You very, very lose any ability to have respect for the dead, because death is everywhere.
So that's why he loots bodies. He's only trying to survive.
Why would you not loot bodies?
Or maybe he got so tired of people stereotyping him and his race, he's given up on proving them wrong.
It's all just so sad. Is there nothing we can do to help?
Change the hearts and minds of the nation.
Not within my power, at least. Discrimination is a bigger problem than any one person can solve. It's sad, but true.
I guess so.
That is the one thing that I keep hoping for, is that discrimination does certainly seem to be dwindling. I can definitely, in my lifetime, discrimination and racism has become a general hallmark of ignorance and stupidity. And no one that is actively racist can really get anywhere. Everyone shuns them. And I think that we've still got some pockets of it here and there of people who learned it from their parents. But society does seem to be moving away from it. At least that's what I hope for.
Chin up, Nico. Your compassion is a virtue, but getting down in the dumps won't help anyone.
Neither will doing nothing. I'm not gonna give up on God.
This does feel like there's going to be another thing with them. I want to see everything, but I want to stick with these guys now.
I don't know when. I don't know how. But I know there has to be something I can do to help him.
Well, I can't stop you from trying.
Nor should you.
But if he doesn't want your help, there's no shame in calling it quits. Just keep that in mind, okay?
I will. Thanks.
Oh, Backlash. That's a awkward and difficult title for an episode.
Godwin! Oh, Godwin! Can I help you with anything?
What the it's you.
I gave it some thought and decided I want to help you. Anything I can do, just say it and it's yours.
Don't want it, don't need it. Least of all from a damn kid. Just quit bugging me and buzz off.
Huh? Hey! Wait!
I'm not sure that's how that would go in an army.
Godwin! Where are you? I lost him.
It's pretty impressive you can lose him, because it definitely sounded like he just walked away. He didn't run or anything.
Damn, what's her deal? Is this some kind of sick joke?
It's called compassion. Maybe you should try it sometime. She just wants you to be happy, that's all.
Did you put her up to this?
This is all Nico's idea. I haven't done a thing.
Although you're apparently snooping pretty well.
Oh, there you are. Guess what, Godwin?
Poor Godwin.
Claude told me you're going on a recon mission soon. And I'm going with you. There's nothing we can't do if we work together.
She is so hopelessly idealistic, it's amazing.
Give it a rest already. I've had it up to here with you.
Huh?
What do I look like, a stray dog? Some ignorant savage who can't survive without your pity?
No, that's not what I...
You don't give a shit about me. You just want to feel good about yourself, so take your savior complex and beat it.
That is a really big problem. If someone has had to go through their life caring about themselves, they don't know how to respond to people trying to be compassionate. Although at the same time, I also have to say from Nico's side, it is a little bit rude to be like, hey, you're different than I am. I'm going to decide that you need help. I'm like, well, you should probably ask them if they need help, not try and force them go in with the assumption that they need your help.
I'm so sorry.
You're the one acting childish here. Nico didn't deserve you blowing up in her face, and you know it. Or do you really think you're the only one in this world who's ever had it rough?
It's my life. I don't know where you get off telling me how to live it.
Baby, it's now or never.
You're hopeless. Nico's got a lot to learn, but at least she's trying. More than I can say for you. I hope she's okay.
Okay, does that mean I have a mission coming up? Oh, nope, I have another cutscene.
Back to corpse robbing already? Can't say I'm surprised, but I am disappointed.
Why? You already acknowledged that he kind of needs to do that.
Oh, is it your turn to save the ignorant savage from himself?
Actually, I'm looking for Nico. I can't find her anywhere. I'm starting to get worried.
Oh, yeah? That explains why I've had some peace and quiet.
I think you misunderstand Nico.
Well, I certainly agree.
You've been assuming she grew up with a perfect life. Truth is, she's an orphan without a penny to her name.
And that's also a big, it's very, if you've lived a life and been surrounded by people that have it better than you, you sort of assume that everyone that isn't you grew up with this perfect, wonderful life because you've spent your whole life being aware of what you didn't get to have.
Her parents were so poor, they abandoned her at a convent on the day she was born. But she never gave in to self-pity, unlike some people. Nico enjoys life because she knows how hard it can be. If you never stop believing, you'll always have hope. All she wanted was to share some of that faith with you.
What a load of bull. We can't all be a happy little nun. I gotta look out for number one. In the end, all I'm gonna be is another rotting corpse. Nothing but carrion for scavengers like me to pick at.
Well, then why are you so eager to live the life that ends with that?
Oh, damn. This ring ain't bad at all. Kinda boring to look at, but I'm sure someone will pay me for it.
You can't even be honest with yourself, can you?
There you are, Godwin! I've been looking everywhere for you!
I was expecting her to need to get rescued or something.
Nico, you're covered in mud. What happened?
I thought he'd be out in the battlegrounds, so I was searching all over for him.
After trudging through the muck all day, I'm surprised you're still so chipper.
That's Nico for you.
Of course! There's no time for me to feel sad if Godwin is unhappy. More importantly, it's time to suit up for the recon mission. You can count on me to do my best and watch your back.
This is like beating my head against a wall. Except a wall doesn't give me puppy dog eyes.
Wouldn't that be creepy if it did? If you had a wall that was just...
Fine, I'll let you tag along. But just this once.
It's not like even let. She's assigned to you.
Really?
Well, you're assigned to each other.
Thank you, Godwin!
Don't thank him. He doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, well, it beats trying to get you to leave me alone. You haven't convinced me of Jack squat. Got that?
It's a start, at least. Though I do wish you'd be more honest about your feelings. Oh, well. If you can't beat them, join them. I'm coming too.
Godwin didn't even try to argue about that one. Kind of surprising. That's interesting. I assume that this one auto-progressed in that one, correct?
Back to...
Okay, yes. It didn't actually have me selected, so I got a little bit worried. And here we go to our wonderful recon mission.
Let's begin the mission briefing.
Why is Minerva briefing my squad on what we're doing? We're residing in the Federation territory. Squad E's task is to stop them. I mean, staying hidden as they advance. We can't accurately gauge their numbers. But if I were you, I'd send the scouts to scope out the area ahead of time. Okay, and I'm not allowed to... Why is it send scouts in first if we only have scouts?
That is all.
Let's all do our best. Good luck.
Don't you have something to say, Godwin?
Shut up.
Sure. Stay out of my way.
Crap. Shock troopers are like the polar opposite of things I can do anything about.
Give it to me. I found them. I can see the enemy from here.
Oh, gods!
Where's the reinforcements?
Are you serious? How am I supposed to do this? Heavy tanks?
Not like I have a choice.
Keep firing! Yeah, they're firing! Engaging!
Okay.
Hurts like hell.
Yeah, it does.
Eat this!
God damn it.
I'll do my best. The Lord is always watching.
Watch out for counterattacks.
I am really not sure what I'm supposed to do about this.
No!
Because those guys are not really movable.
My pleasure.
Commencing counterattack. Follow my...
Holy crap, this mission is crazy impossible.
How rude.
I think I lose, guys. um, well, there comes an engineer.
Is everyone okay?
Now! Charge!
Enemy
Never
spotted!
let them see you bleed.
Enemy spotted! I found them!
They're in range.
I found them!
Okay, got him back.
I won't let you die.
Wow. I'd forgotten how much like Alicia that person
Stop
looked.
fire! Find some cover!
I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. Wait, I can... Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yeah, okay, that'll make a bit of a difference. I completely forgot I could summon... I thought I was stuck with those, like, 3 people. Yep, I think we just lost. Yep. Okay, but I've got it on the replay. I've got it on the repeat. Now that I realize I can summon more guys in. I was like, I'm stuck at 3 people. I am not stuck at 3 people, guys.
Let's all...
Okay. So this time... Actually, that I don't need... Let's get... Get do move.
Enemy spotted! Enemy spotted!
They're onto you.
I can see the enemy from here!
Okay. So getting that person to there, we are now able to. This should let us get into a position where we can just start blasting them out of the sky. Ow! Poor Nico. That's okay, the scout's dead now. Oh, not quite, not quite. Here comes a shark trooper somewhere. I think it's interesting how I can watch him move around with Nico even though Nico can't actually see him.
Now, what genre? It's all research, really.
Go ahead and take
Take
these guys
aim.
out.
Not bad. He got some moves.
Alright.
I'll do my best!
Nico, go ahead and finish this guy off. Good deal. Nico can take that out. This. Alright.
Moving out.
Keep calm and move onward!
Ow!
Enemy sighted. Enemy sighted. Enemy sighted. There.
Get that guy out of there, because he keeps blowing us up.
Didn't take much.
And I don't like being blown up. Okay. Does it, like, tell me what his range is? Like, can I hit there with him? I'm not positive I can.
Now, what genre?
But hey, if I can't... Like, that's very close. There's their camp. There's that guy. Okay.
Take aim.
Interesting. So that guy didn't really take any damage. Oh, because he's a duder.
There.
Huh. So what's the best way to take care of that particular mess?
As you wish.
We'll go ahead and move you up to...
Watch out for counterattack!
Okay, good. I was hoping that would work.
Kill confirmed!
Nico. So he's... Nico.
Now advancing. Try paying attention. Didn't take much.
I see. They're good.
Medic, over here!
All right, get Nico out of there. We need to make sure she doesn't die. Because dying is
You
bad
can
for
save
her.
them, right?
Okay. So my next question.
Now, what genre?
He's not kneeling anymore, so maybe Connor can take this guy out. Okay, 2 shots to kill.
You'll have to go.
Wow, he just dodges everything.
Now advancing. Try paying attention.
Okay, got him, got him.
Too easy.
Kill confirmed. Not bad out there.
Target confirmed.
Should really not be using a sniper for
This base
this.
is officially ours.
Yeah, get her out of there. So we are now behind the tank line, so let's go ahead and bring in... This is Jimmy. It's too bad I'm not taking pot shots at him. Pew!
Let's all get a drink after this.
You got it, Jimmy. Oh, hey.
Watch out for counterattacks.
Didn't realize that you guys, like, conveniently had...
Please assist the bank up.
There's someone right there. I feel like there is. It's a fence at the moment, though.
Please hurry and finish the operation.
Okay. So yeah, that guy's there.
Here comes the pain.
Come on, Raz.
Engaging!
So Raz can run over here now that we know that there's a snipper. Hi, snipper. Bye, snipper.
Done and done.
What could go wrong?
Oh, many things can go wrong. Damn it.
Eat this!
Huh? What was that? What could go wrong?
Move, kitty.
Keep calm and move.
I know you're there! You can't hide for long!
Too easy.
Okay. So now with our remaining 3 actions, we need to destroy 3 tanks.
Watch out for counterattacks.
Don't kill Raz.
Keep calm and move onward.
Yeah, please end the turn. Please end the turn.
I got this.
He's got this. I wonder why. I mean, I guess it's just that they're bad at strategy. Why would they leave themselves with their, like, tank butt hanging out like that?
I got this.
For some reason, I thought I had someone else over there, but I guess not. That's okay, though. Raz can make this shot. So, what we have found so far is that this mission is way easier when you remember you can deploy extra guys.
Wait.
Leave it to me.
Riley?
Too easy.
That does kind of suck for him. He's like, I'm behind the sandbags. This guy has a rocket launcher. I'm very safe. And then all of a sudden, a mortar just falls from the heavens and takes you out. And like, oh, I thought I was safe.
Good fun.
Enemy cap is captured. Captured. Good job, us.
Mission accomplished. We did it together.
You're not even deployed.
Man, it's finally over. Do me a favor and remind me to never deploy with you two again.
I mean, it worked the second time.
I don't know. From where I stood, you looked pretty into it.
I don't think he even moved the whole time.
Not like I had a choice. If I hadn't been there, that little missy would just be another corpse to loot.
All right, more stuff. And we looted the bodies. Seems to be our weapon. I defeated the Aces. Weapons made in the Empire have different properties from Federation armaments. Unlike items obtained from R&D, awards and spoils are... Yeah. And, of course, we'll go and finish this up.
Claude.
Well, that's a medal you get for, like, losing and then doing it again immediately.
So what'd you think, Godwin? Did I help you?
You did all the work, Nico. You did everything.
I may not know exactly how to help you, but if you feel even a little better, then I know everything was worth it.
God, she is so...
Feel better? All we did was shoot a couple Imperials. But, sure. I guess I feel a little better now.
Really? Thank you.
Nah, don't get all mushy on me. It's not like I'm gonna stop scavenging.
Not with that attitude, you won't.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point, isn't it?
Hey, that's none of your business.
Oh, really? Well, speaking of business...
Watch the she's her fence. Or she's his fence.
That ring you picked up earlier is worth a small fortune.
What?
I'm surprised you could tell. From its outward appearance, most people would take it for a cheap trinket.
Nah, it was just a hunch. I ain't no jeweler. Scavengers have to judge what loot's worth taking and fast. Over time, I got a feel for its value beneath the surface.
You know what? You'd make a wonderful appraiser.
I wonder if that's where the first appraisers came from.
Me? An appraiser?
Most people would judge a book by its cover. An appraiser can see a diamond in the rough and know its true worth. Of course, you'd need to study up to make a profession out of it. But it has to be better than looting bodies. You get out of life what you put into it. We've all faced hardships, but what matters is how we grow from it.
Very, very, very true.
Appraising sounds great. You should give it a try, Godwin. After all, once we win the war, there won't be any corpses left to rob. You could run your own legitimate business.
I could make the corpses.
Slow down, little Missy. It's my future. And why are you more excited about it than I am anyway?
Because I care about you. I'm gonna help you become the best appraiser there ever was. You'll have my support every step of the way. Together, I know we can make it happen.
Hey, hold your horses. I didn't agree to any of this.
Nico, you're a diamond in the rough.
Is that your appraisal, Rosetta? Wah, wah.
I left the church a long time ago, but seeing you reminds me of why I took up the cloth in the first place.
Why do they refer to it as take up the cloth? Like, does that mean the church thinks that everyone else is just running around naked?
You truly believe in the goodness of others. Hang on to that. For the rest of us poor sinners, it's a beacon of hope.
Hey, Godwin's a rich sinner.
Neither of you give a damn what I'm saying, do you?
Nope.
Great. Now I've got something to look forward to in life. And it's all your fault.
Oh, awesome. All right, and that lets us get back to the chapter which we will be going into next time. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. I will see you in the next one.